Hey everyone, awaiting Jerome Powell's speech, NIO, Tesla, Apple, QQQ, and Nvidia brace for market shifts. His words hold the power to shake their trajectories as anticipation mounts with every passing moment. What's going on with the overall market, and talk about why tomorrow is going to be an absolutely massive day. I'm also to break down why on earth Jerome Powell is to be speaking what he could end up saying. And if Powell says anything very significant, how could this end up affecting NIO, Tesla, SPY, the QQQ, and many tickers out there? I'm going to break down why tomorrow is to be huge when Powell is going to be speaking. Let's talk about the market. How are things looking? So NIO got a small little gap to the upside, like we were predicting, getting this little pop to the 11. Remember yesterday, it closed at about 10.8. Now we actually got a little gap up, and then we saw this thing push up during the pre-market yesterday to about 11.2. So it did make that move to the upside small one. It just didn't really get the ability to break out. I warned you all that with the Fed speakers coming, we had Harker speaking today, not to mention Jerome Powell. In anticipation of Jerome Powell speaking, the market could slow down, and we ended up slowing down even harder than expected, at least based off the technicals from yesterday. So I thought NIO would slow down a bit and end up kind of flat. Instead, we're down about 1.8%, which is still not like that horrible. It's only down like 1.8%. This situation prompts a discussion about relative strength, particularly given SPY's 1.3% decrease. On the contrary, the QQQ was down a lot more than that. The QQQ was down. NIO could have been down 4% because it has a beta above 2. Instead, it was only down 1.8%. It's trying to base around this level, but the question is, how will it move for tomorrow? Will NIO continue to sink? Will NIO crash, or can NIO try to bounce? And this is going to depend on Jerome Powell. What does the big guy, Jerome Powell, end up saying? All right, analyzing this scenario, all right. Tomorrow morning, the market is going to open like normal then. 30 minutes after the market opens at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report and the 5-year inflationary expectations data coming out. So all this data comes down in the morning, right? The market is going to react to this. And then at about 10:05 o'clock a.m., we have Jerome Powell giving a speech. All right? This is gonna be about 35 minutes after the market opens. Powell is going to be giving this very important speech at Jackson Hole, and when the guy talks, the entire market is gonna move. If he's very hawkish, the market could get this rug pull. If he's not, the market could try to pump. And we'll be paying keen attention to his statements and observations during this period. So make sure you're ready for this. I don't know exactly what he's gonna cause, but so far the market is preparing it in a very bearish manner, and we'll need to wait and observe for more insights. Now, the market is, right now, this suggests a state of neutrality within the market. I don't know if that's right. Should be a little bit more fearful. It could be because we bounced yesterday and the overall reaction is still like in the middle because we got a big bounce yesterday. Started cooling off today. I would say it's a little closer to the fearful side, but if anything, greed is still yet to return to the market. I don't know if this is up to date though. I think this is still updating, so I don't think this is updated just yet, but the market should be less greedy, a little bit more fearful right now. The put and call ratio should be going up a little bit. I'll be closely observing these indicators, especially with the noticeable increase in the VX. Think fear should be taking over the market a little bit more. We're currently in a waiting mode, eagerly anticipating an update in the near future. But until then, notably, significant shifts are beginning to unfold, catching our attention as we observe the evolving landscape. So did NIO drop 4.9% this week? Sure it did, but if anything, it was actually only down 1.8% for today and for the future of it. I'm still very bullish on the company moving forward. Now, observing what these analysts are saying, there's actually this little chart here about NIO. The value is not that high, but the future is super big, super bright. Health is very strong. The past is not as strong. Dividend is not that strong. That is still fine. It still has been up 44% in the last 3 months because you have to remember, this thing was at $7 and $8 not too long ago. We're currently in the 10s. There's technically a slight improvement compared to a few months ago, but for the time being, and for tomorrow specifically, observing the market's impact on it, now we're getting very close. We're about a little bit over a week away from NIO announcing their next deliveries, and this is going to be very impactful and telling for how they end up moving. Now, Deutsche Bank giving NIO with the buy rating is quite good. The price pairs ratio is still a little bit low. I hope to witness this growth. Analyzing that, Fridays tend to be green about 53% of the time, but that doesn't really matter. I don't even think any of the data matters for tomorrow because it's all going to be dependent on Jerome Powell. Observing the volume, it dropped on very low volumes. That's a pretty good sign that we're not seeing aggressive sellers. It is selling off a bit, but we'll closely monitor how it maintains its position around the 10.5 level. So for tomorrow, guys, I can't really predict it. It depends on Jerome Powell. The guy is giving a speech tomorrow, 35 minutes after the market opens. I don't know what's going to happen. If he pumps the markets, NIO break above 10.8 and start pushing back to about 11.2. If he causes the rug pull a big one, NIO could retest 10.5. That's some strong support. If that breaks, there's a possibility of it declining to around the 10.2 mark. We were talking about that area in the past. I'm sure you guys remember me talking about that for this distributive structure. Still not looking the best on NIO. However, it's important to keep an eye on the levels around 10.21. If it does end up breaking below that, there's also this imbalance down here at 9.75 if it does break below 10. So 10 to 10.2 is going to be our support if we witness Powell triggering a substantial market decline. NIO was trying to base right now. Accordingly, we'll keep a vigilant eye on this. If Powell pumps the market, SPY is going to make its way back up to 438 plus to potentially 440 plus, then 442. If Powell causes a big rug pull, if the market comes down even harder, I think SPY could drop all the way down to 431.5 and try to bounce very close to 432. So it all depends on Powell. I don't know what he's going to cause, so I just want to be open-minded. Tesla looks more bearish. And also, guys, SPY does look bearish from a technical standpoint. Right now, it is looking more bearish. But just to be safe, let's wait and see what Powell says. So for Tesla, it's also looking more bearish from a technical standpoint. We're about to get a bearish cross on the PPO. We have a bearish divergence right here. If Powell causes the rug pull, if we get like what Tesla's, the overall chart is kind of like looking for. If Powell gives us the rug pull, it's likely that we'll witness Tesla's decline below the 230 mark, back to about 226. If that fills us, 221 to 220. If that fills us, it could come all the way down to fill the gap at 215. If Tesla gets a bounce, thanks to Powell, we could break above 234 and start pushing for 240 again. But it all depends on Jerome Powell. I can't once again predict that for Apple it is looking more bearish. So the OBS do favor more downside. If Powell causes a rug pull, 175 as support. Below that we have the next support close to where the gap is around like 174. If Powell causes a pump, Apple break above 178. It all depends on him. It is looking more bearish though. So the OBS favor Powell causing downside, or at least some downside during the time he speaks. Hence, we'll need to adapt and monitor the QQQ's reaction in this situation. If Powell causes a pump, keep an eye out for the breakthrough above the crucial level of 365. It is looking more bearish from a technical standpoint. So the ODS favor the downside. 357 could be retest. If not 354.7, basically very close to 355 if we do get a big rug pull. So we'll need to observe what Powell's actions trigger. The OBS do favor downside nonetheless. For Nvidia, this thing was crazy. It got a big pop and came right back down right after the crazy run from earnings. If Powell causes a bounce, Nvidia retests 480. If it breaks that, 490 is on the table. If not, if Powell causes the rug pull, Nvidia is gonna come all the way down to 452 on the 4-hour time frames to 50 EMA. 452 to 456 will be retested. A big drop could come thanks to Powell. It all depends on him, so closely observe all the details. So with that said, analyzing the market, the dollar was up. It actually closed above 4, which is a decent sign. Observing the dollar's movement and its impact on the market, pay attention to the resistance level and its significance. And all I can really say is the charts look more bearish. They do look more bearish on SPY, Apple, Tesla, and etc. So the OGS favor Powell, causing some downside. However, I can't say that with super high confidence. I can't really say that it all depends on him. Therefore, we're in a position of anticipation and will need to patiently await further developments. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more stock predictions and market insights. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Happy investing and see you in the next video.